And I get that there's an argument that AI is just going to become part and parcel of life now, so you're almost letting the kids down if you don't teach them about it. But in the same way that we now acknowledge that kids probably have too much access to devices and are using them too much, and there is a trend now of schools reducing their use of devices, indeed having classes where devices are just not allowed at all, I wonder whether maybe we're going too fast and too hard into this and saying, well, we're going to have the AI in the classroom because you'll probably have the AI in the workplace. It's the same as we talked, was it last week or the week before, about the University of New South Wales, which is rolling out a very similar product within their university for students and lecturers and professors and whatever to be able to use. Surely the idea of uni or school is that you learn how to learn and you actually get knowledge in your brain, and that involves doing your own research and coming to your own conclusions and memorising things. And I feel like we are just increasingly dumbing things down, and if you've got the AI chatbot at school that just spits out the answer without you really having to do any looking for it at all, you can guarantee the kids are going to go home and log on to ChatGPT, and that's what they'll be using to do their homework. So are we actually making the kids smarter or dumber?
Well, that's the problem, right? Everyone is already using ChatGPT. It is ubiquitous. Even when I was at uni, people are using it for everything. And Sydney University, for example, has just given up trying to police it because you can't. You actually can very rarely tell if someone's using AI. So when they're at school, that is basically your one opportunity to ensure kids are actually learning. And we're seeing this trend now, removing devices from schools. A lot of private schools are leading the way in this because they've just realised, well, kids aren't actually memorising anything. Their writing skills are poorer. And guess what? Exams are still all handwritten. And if you can't actually recall facts because you're so used to just being able to look things up, you're not going to perform well in exams and ultimately in life. So kids will use AI anyway. The genie is well and truly out of the bottle, but school should be the last place where that is embraced. There's probably a good use case for it for teachers, for marking and giving feedback to students, but students don't need to be using it themselves.
And you're right, when people, I've got a daughter about to start the HSC and she does have to go into those exams and write essays and write actual thoughts down and make arguments. Now, you know, if you're using a chat box, and these kids, they're very good on the copy and paste as well. And if they've got to write a 500-word article or 500-word essay on something, or they've got to give a 2-minute speech in school on a particular topic, the thing about AI is you can say, write me a 2-minute speech on topic XYZ, what James Cook arrived in Australia. You know, they can actually get a 2-minute speech and AI will say to them, would you like to make this more political or conversational or more, you know, technical? So they can use it to actually generate the entire format of what they're going to use. You know, for those of us who are a little bit older and still use books, if you plan to plagiarise something, you actually still had to write it out from the book. You weren't able to just copy and paste it over. I was in the day of the dot matrix printers. I don't think you even know what they are.
Hey, well, what about the Commodore 64? Were you playing around? I love when you get I'm just, you know, really off track, but I love when you get a book from a second-hand shop and people have underlined things in the book because, you know, they're actually using it to learn and research, and that's what we're losing.
I swear to God, my first marriage nearly broke down because my ex-husband, but it should have ended much earlier when he lost a box of my books, and in those books were all my ancient history textbooks from Unit 3 Ancient History, Herodotus, Chapter 8, with all the beautiful notes and highlighted bits in there that I had kept if my children ever did ancient history. I had it all there, and he lost that box of books. And can I tell you, 15 years later and I'm still angry.
But it's so true, because what you produce in school is actually really important, and you look back on it and you can be proud of yourself and just go, wow, I actually achieved something. I worked hard, I studied. But when you just replace everything with AI, I do think the next generation will lose that.
Can you imagine how boring their dinner party conversations are going to be, though? They're going to actually have nothing that they can draw skills or experience from because they never really read a book. They never looked into anything. And there's nothing like holding a book in the paper and actually writing a note in the side of it and someone
Yeah.
yelling at you, writing in a book. But yeah.
For sure.